Shokun! Welcome to Igor's Dojo, the training ground for honing your Japanese language skills. In our today's Dojo drill video, we will be taking a look at the particle pair kara, made, as well as at the object marker wo. And we will accomplish this through additional exercises that will further strengthen your knowledge of these particles and answer all the questions that you might have left from the original video, to which the link will be presented in the card on the screen and in the description below. Once again, here is the overview of the particles with their definitions on the left and the examples of their usage on the right. The particle kara, as you can see, expresses the meaning of from in a variety of senses, from a certain place, from a certain point of time, and finally to mark the person who gives something, or in other words, from who is something received. This relative simplicity of usage makes the kara particle quite versatile, and there aren't any particular situations where you need to watch out for something unexpected when using it. Made, on the other hand, is all about expressing limits, boundaries, and extents, being equivalent to the English until, till, and as far as. Like kara, there is not much philosophy behind its usage, and the two frequently appear in pair to express a certain time period or a group of selected elements, of course roughly speaking, such as working hours or spatial boundaries. The particle o is also fairly simple to use, since it is the de facto object marker in the Japanese language, with only a couple of scenarios where it is replaced with some other particle. Do you remember the potential form that we have covered in the previous video? Well, because there o is replaced with ga. I will put the link to that video in the card on the screen and in the description below in case you have missed it or in case you want to review it. The other two usages of o are connected to verbs of movement, being mostly paired with the verbs toru, meaning to pass or to pass through, and deru, meaning to leave or to exit. I recommend wholeheartedly remembering o as the opposite of ni and e in this regard, since the latter two mark a destination or the end goal of our movement, while o marks in most cases the leaving of a certain place or a transit, so to speak, through it. And here we have the vocabulary overview section for you to analyze if there are any unknown words or the words you might have forgot. As always, I will give you a few moments to study the table before moving on to our next section of the video. Now, are you ready? Let's move on to our rules section of the video. And we have arrived to this section that covers the rules of the Dojo drill video, and the rules are practically the same. There will be the empty spaces that require filling out with the correct particles, drill sets 1 and 2, while the task will be made more challenging in the final drill section, where you will need to insert the particles before translating the sentences. I recommend pausing the video to give yourself enough time to solve the sentences before moving on to the next drill set or looking at the results that will immediately follow. So I wish you good luck in finishing all the exercises. And here we have our first drill set that covers kara and made. I will read the sentence, of course, one after another, and once I finish reading the entire list, I will suggest that you stop the video here briefly and solve the sentences. Yoshida's task is due tomorrow. Yoshida's task is due tomorrow. Our second sentence. Naomi went as far as the station by bike. Naomi went as far as the station by bike. I was practicing Japanese grammar until night. I was practicing Japanese grammar until night. I received a new shirt from my older brother. I received a new shirt from my older brother. Mr. Tanaka's job starts from 8 o'clock. Mr. Tanaka's job starts from 8 o'clock. This bus arrived from Nagoya. This bus arrived from Nagoya. And this is our first drill set. I recommend you pausing the video here to solve all the sentences before moving on to our results section of the first drill set. So the time to pause the video is now. And here we have the drill set 1 translations. Yoshida-san no yoji wa ashita made desu. Here we have 3 particles. First is no to establish ownership between Yoshida-san and Yoji. After that, wa to create a topic out of them, and made to signify a boundary. In this case, it is tomorrow. Our second sentence. Naomi-chan wa jitensha de eki made ikimashita. Once again, 3 particles. Wa creates the topic out of Naomi-chan. After that, with de we show the instrument of the action she has performed, and made once again shows the boundary to which she went when accomplishing that action, and that is the station. Our third sentence. Yoru made Nihongo no bunpo o renshū shite imashita. Once again, there is an expression of limit here with made, saying that the night has been the limit to which we have practiced the Japanese grammar. Once again, no establishes the ownership, and this time we have o to show the object of our practicing. In this case, it is the Japanese grammar. Notice that the wa here is absent. After that, Ani kara atarashii shatsu o moraimashita. This time we have only 2 particles, kara to show from who we have received, in this case the shirt, and o to signify that it is the object we have received. So once again, kara shows the giver of a certain object, and o marks that object. Tanaka-san no shigoto wa 8 ji kara desu. Now we have returned to our system of 3 particles, with no creating the ownership relationship between Tanaka-san and job or shigoto, wa to create the topic out of them, and kara to signify the starting point from which his job starts in this context. So once again, it's a textbook example of kara usage, and we have no and wa to provide further details. And our final sentence. Kono basu wa Nagoya kara kimashita. A simple usage. With wa we have established the topic of our sentence, and after that with kara we have shown from where that bus in this case has come from. It is the point from which it came, and that is Nagoya. So this is our first drill set. Now we'll be moving on to our second drill set. But this time the drill set will cover all. Bicycles and cars are produced at that factory. Bicycles and cars are produced at that factory. Our second sentence. Kobayashi's father is serving sushi at the restaurant. Kobayashi's father is serving sushi at the restaurant. Early in the morning, Mr. Suzuki left the house. Early in the morning, Mr. Suzuki left the house. Mr. Yoshida will explore the woods on his own. Mr. Yoshida will explore the woods on his own. The train that arrived from Tokyo will pass through Osaka. The train that arrived from Tokyo will pass through Osaka. and I cut through the long street. I cut through the long street. Now this is the place where you should pause the video to give yourself enough time to solve all of these sentences before moving on. And here we have the results for our second drill set with the particle wo. Our first sentence is a fairly simple one, shows the main usages of all three particles, and it goes as follows. その工場で自転車と自動車を作ります。We see here that the three particles in use have been used to show the following. De to show the location where the action is taking place. In this case, it is the construction. To convey the meaning of and between the jitensha and jidosha. And o to mark them as the direct object of our verb. So in short, we have three particles, de, to, and o, here performing their main roles in a Japanese sentence. Our second sentence is a bit more complicated. 小林さんのお父さんはレストランで寿司を持っています。Now, we have here the following. Note to establish the relationship between Kobayashi and Otosan, mainly to show that it is Kobayashi's father. So you can say in essence that it is the, let's say, connection of ownership. Wa creates the topic out of them. After that, that shows the location where Kobayashi's father is serving food, and that food is sushi, thus marking with it o to serve as the object of our sentence. So once again, no shows the ownership here, wa the topic, de shows the location, and wo marks the object. Our third sentence is a simple one. 朝早く鈴木さんは家を出ました。We see here that wa once again follows suit as it has in the previous sentence by marking the topic of our sentence, and that is Suzuki-san. After that, with wo, we have shown the origin of his movement, or in this case, we have conveyed the meaning of him leaving the house or exiting his house. Our fourth sentence, 吉田さんは一人でこの深い森を探検します。Now, wa, like we have said, already serves the exact same purpose. It creates the topic, and that is Yoshida-san. After that, hitori de, here de is shown to convey the means of his exploration, meaning that he will explore the woods on his own, and those deep woods are marked with wo to show that it is the object of the verb tanken suru, or in this case, tanken shimasu. So once again, wa shows the topic of the sentence, de shows the means, and wo marks the object. And let's see our fifth sentence. 東京から来た電車は大阪を通ります。Now, once again, we see here kara in its most, let's say, default usage, and it is to show a place from which something has come. In this case, it is the train that came from Tokyo, and with wa we have created the topic out of it, and after that with wo we have shown the place through which it passes, and that is Osaka, meaning that the train that arrived from Tokyo is passing through Osaka. So once again, kara to show the place from which this train originated, so to speak, wa to create the topic out of it, and wo to show through which space it is passing. And our last sentence is the simplest. 長い道を突き切りました。As we can see here, we have shown once again the usage of wo as in to show through which space some movement is taking place, or in this case it has taken place, and that is through the long street. And that is why we have used wo here. So once again, in summary, wo is used to mark the object of a sentence, to show the origin of some movement, or to show through which space a certain movement is taking place, will take place, or has taken place. And now we have moved to our final drill set, and the most difficult of the drill sets in this video, and that is kara, made, and wo among other particles. And like I said in the rules section, your task here is twofold. First, to fill out the sentences with appropriate particles, and then to translate them to the best of your ability. Let's see our first sentence. Watashi, empty. Honya, Asa, empty, asa, empty, yugata, empty, hon, empty, bunrui shite imasu. Our second, Yamada-san, empty, 8時, empty, 5時, empty, 働きます. Our third, Naomi-chan, empty, 自転車, empty, 駅, empty, 大学, empty, 行きました. Kobayashi-san, empty, 一人, empty, 会社, empty, 最初, empty, 最後, empty, 仕事, empty, 終えました. Now this is the place to pause the video to give yourself enough time to solve all of these sentences. Like I said, this is the most difficult section of the video, meant to test your knowledge and your skills when it comes to the particle usage and particle application. So take your time, solve all of these 4 sentences and translate them so you can join me in the next section where we will analyze the results. And let's see the results of our final drill set. Our first sentence. 私は本屋で朝から夕方まで本を分類しています. Or, I sort books in the bookstore from the morning until the evening. Here we have the textbook examples of usage when it comes to the wa, de, kara, made, and o particles. Here wa is used to mark the topic of the sentence, and that is watashi. After that, with de we have shown, or in this case marked, the location where the sorting is taking place. After that, with kara and made we have given the time period during which we are sorting the books, and the books as the object are marked with o. So once again, there is nothing complicated here, it's their main usage. Wa, topic, de, location, kara and made to show the time period, and wo to mark the object. Our second sentence, Mr. Yamada works from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Yamada-san wa 8時から5時まで働きます. Now I have used this sentence as an example of once again showing the pairing between kara and made, how they frequently come up as a pair, showing from what time to what time. In this case, Mr. Yamada is working as the topic of the sentence, and he is marked with wa. Let's see our third sentence. Naomi went with her bike from the station to the university. Naomi-chan wa 自転車で駅から大学まで行きました. Once again, we see here the pairing of kara and made to show a certain spatial, let's say, length here, and that is the path that Naomi has traversed with her bike from the station to the university, and wa is of course used to create the topic out of Naomi-chan, and de to show the instrument, in this case her means of transportation with which she has performed the action of going from the station to the university. And the hardest, our final sentence, that is really the crowning achievement of our practices, is the following. Mr. Kobayashi finished the entire job from start to finish by himself or alone at the company. Kobayashi-san wa 一人で会社で最初から最後まで仕事を終えました. Now let's see here what has transpired. Wa once again serves as the topic marker, so nothing new here. 一人で once again shows the means how Mr. Kobayashi has finished his job. After that, location, and that is kaisha, where he has been working on that job, on that project, finishing it, modifying it, and so on and so forth. And we see here the extents, or let's say the points from which he has finished that job. He has finished it from the start to the end, from its, let's say, beginnings to its end, and that is showed by the pair kara and made, and after that wo to signify that the shigoto here, it is the direct object, and we have finished it with the transitory form of the verb to finish, oeru. So once again, waki is the topic here, de shows both the means of working, in this case, and the location. Kara and made show once again the span, in this case, in this extent of the job that he has finished, and the job itself is marked with o to create the object out of it. So as you can see here, we have further expanded on the subject of our particles, and besides kara, made, and wo, we have seen here once again the multiple usages of de and wa as something that you can always find in a Japanese sentence. Otsukare-sama deshita, dear Shokun. I hope that you have enjoyed this drill video where we have reviewed the three particles kara, made, and wo. As always, you will find the original video in the description below, along with the previous one that follows the same model but deals with the particles ni and de. So in the end, once again, thank you very much for watching, my dear Shokun, and I hope to see you again in the dojo next time. Sayonara!